What's up, everyone? This is Mitch with SC Weather. Hope y'all have been having a great day. Hey, we're going to talk about what can we expect for the month of October here in the Southeast and South Carolina. I mainly talk South Carolina, but in this video I'm going to talk about the Southeast in whole. So before we get going, if you haven't subscribed, definitely hit that subscribe button. Awesome way to support me. I started this YouTube journey at the beginning of this year. I've had some steady growth, but we're in definitely a slow period right now weather-wise, so there's not a whole lot to talk about. But if you're on Twitter, hit Twitter, follow me on there. Facebook, I'm very active on there, very engaging. Love talking about my passion to you guys and just talking weather in general. So definitely follow along by subscribing here to stay up to date. But let's just jump right into this. So basically, this is temp anomalies, which basically is the temperature compared to average. So this is obviously this is Saturday. So you start to obviously this is the reds and the greens is below average temperatures. You check out things like the the blues and the greens are below average temperatures, and the reds and the browns and the pinks and things like that, or whatever color you want to call that, is above average temperatures. And right now, if you know a little bit about weather, you know that there's crazy wildfires going on in the west, and this is because it's super dry and hot. So if you look up here, you might can see it, but this is like I'm going through each icon, and that's on each day. So you get October 8th, 9th, and check it out. By the time we're to the 10th, from what the European ensembles are saying temperature-wise, we're still below average temperatures in the southeast. But we start to get later into the month, about mid-month, and we start to lose them below average temperatures, and the pattern becomes more progressive, which basically means you get more of a zonal pattern. There's not really many trough digs here, troughs as in cold fronts, and you start to get into October 18th, 19th. But the good thing about here in the southeast is it doesn't really get above average temperature-wise, according to this. So, I do think the first half of the month is going to be below average temperature-wise. Maybe not super below average, but definitely below average to average at times. And we're getting to the end of the month, and we get to Halloween, which is the very end of the month, October 31st. And yeah, most of this nation is average to above average temperature-wise, but check out us in the southeast. For the most part, we're sitting around average, which, average for late October, even here in South Carolina, really isn't that bad. But I'm going to flip over here to the dew points according to the GFS, because the GFS shows a little bit of a different solution here. We get into tomorrow, which is Thursday, October 1st, beginning of the month. And we're going to keep flipping here. If you look right here, it's going through the days. So we're going through the days, the 4th, the 5th. These are dew points. When you get dew points in the 50s and 40s, that is a crisp fall air mass. Look, check out the Florida Peninsula. Obviously, just has that tropical air mass, and dew points in the 70s and 60s just due to it being Florida. I mean, it's Florida in October. It's still pretty much summer there. But we're getting into October 7th, 8th, and maybe around this time next week, we maybe start to lose that fall feel out there. It won't feel that bad, but according to dew points, and I haven't really looked at the temperatures, you definitely start to get that tropical influx moving back through the southeast. Just a totally different look from the Euro, which I'm about to show here. But you start to look back up here, you might get another trough digging coming up here, and by mid-month, you get that fall air mass temporarily back again, and then you lose it again. So the GFS definitely has a different look than the Euro. And check it out. This is the Euro. Same thing. Dew points. You get that reinforcing shot Friday, overnight Thursday into Friday. And check out the dew points. Just a crisp fall air mass. And then again, here's the date right here. 05 October 2020. So we're flipping through. And it goes through 240 hours out, and I just went through the entire run, and you still have a crisp fall air mass in place. 240 hours out is basically 10 days out. So that goes through all the way through October 10th. From what we can see with the operational European model, we keep that fall air mass through the first 10 days of the month, which is 1/3 of the month pretty much. So that's one thing to look forward to for sure. If I was making an official prediction, I obviously would think that the first half of October would be below average to average temperatures. The second half of the month, I think, will be around average temperatures, which obviously high temperatures and low temperatures, climatology says that they drop. Obviously, the later you get into the year, the closer you get, deeper you get into fall, and the closer you get to winter. So average temperatures, yeah, you're like, oh man, it's just average temperatures. But average temperatures in late October is highs in the 70s and lows in the low 50s, depending on where you are. It's definitely different. I'm mainly speaking about South Carolina, so that's not too bad, right? So October temperature-wise, guys, I think it's going to be just a really a treat. It's going to be fall in October, and it's definitely a lot different than last year. So that's kind of my prediction for the month of October, but I want to spend a little time on the tropics because I think this is a little bit of a bigger topic. Here in South Carolina, we get some crazy weather in October, especially the last 6 years. November 1st, October here, we got some freak snow event here in the Midlands of South Carolina. 2015, we had the historic floods. 2016, we had Hurricane Matthew. I can't think of anything off the top of my head in October 2017. 2018, we had Hurricane Michael that ran through basically the state, made landfall in the Florida Panhandle. So last year, it was relatively chill. We had a crazy historic heat wave in the beginning of October. We got over 100 degrees. So it just always does something weird in October here, especially in South Carolina. But check it out. This is the National Hurricane Center. These are climatology, basically the paths that hurricanes normally take. They like to form in here in the Western Caribbean and kind of move up and sometimes affect parts of the Southeast. So, and check it out, the National Hurricane Center, 8 p.m. update here on September 30th. 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook has what would be here. I'm not going to screw this up this time. This would be Gamma that would form before Delta. The Greek alphabet's a little different, so this would probably be Gamma that forms here. This 70% chance to develop in the next 5 days. And basically what happens is you get these frontal boundaries that dig and it interacts with energy here. And long story short, it can form a tropical system down here. This may be Delta down the road, but maybe not because it has a much lower chance to develop. But I tell you what, on the operational models, you can kind of see both of them dancing around the Gulf of Mexico. But I wanted to show this too by, what's his name? His name is Ed. I can't pronounce his last name. His last name starts with a P, but put a pretty cool graphic out today. Tomorrow being October 1st, basically says that even though hurricane season is starting to wind down, you still get plenty of activity in October. Matthew, October 8, 2016. You obviously had Michael that came through around October 11th. And then you had these other old-timey hurricanes that moved through. Hazel was a huge one. A lot of older folks probably remember that one from 1954. But something I want to show here is something that a lot of us weather guys and not guys, just the weather community love. Is the SpaghettiOs and basically the EPS ensembles, and check it out. The European's not as aggressive as the GFS with tropical activity, but and if you look right here, it shows the date. So 04 October 2020. And if I'm moving here, I'm moving pretty fast, but you can see some formation here that's possible, and it's that same track that basically the National Hurricane Center says that is the history of normally how these things track. So you get about 10 days out, and this is definitely the time frame I'm going to watch. October 10th and 11th is a big time frame I'm going to watch for any kind of tropical activity to get into the Gulf and maybe make a move on the United States. And you can tell it here. And so I think about mid-month, in about 10 days, 10 to 12 days, I think we may be talking about some kind of, might not be a huge threat, but sometime maybe a little to moderate threat. I don't know if it's going to be major, really. It's hard to tell. But we're going to be talking about the tropics a little bit more in about 10 days. I'll tell you that right now. I really do think so. And, there's not a huge signal here, but there is a somewhat signal that something's going to be around here in about 10 to 12 days. We're going to be talking about the tropics here. But I'm going to roll through this kind of quick. But, again, I just want to reference here October 3rd. So, this would be what would be Gamma right here. See the L, the low pressure, and if you look right here, It's kind of moving around here. It can't really move that north, and I'm going to show you why here in a second. But the trough is digging right here, so this thing cannot move much. So it's going to try to press up against it when the pattern changes on the GFS. Not the Euro does not show this pattern change, but it becomes more progressive and kind of a weakness forms. But you got what would be a depression here in October 6 range, and then you kind of start to get into that time frame I told you to watch. And whatever this is doing, whether that's gamma or delta, gets kind of messed up over here. And this is just one run. This is the latest run. And then you get something else that kind of forms here. And check out the date. You start to get into that about 10 days out range. And, you know, whatever something's here getting close. And I don't know what it is, but it tries to pop off and throws tropical moisture even to us in the state of South Carolina. This is far out, guys, so it's not super accurate. But basically, it shows a signal in about 10 days that we need to watch. So I'm going to show this too because the European has nothing to do with it, really. I'm going to roll through this quick. That's the date time frame. We get into October 5th, 6th, 7th. And you can see a bunch of energy down there, but it stays down there because you keep getting troughs digging on the Euro. Troughs are going to, yeah, they cause activity to form down here, but if they keep digging like they are across the southeast, nothing is going to get us in the southeast tropical wise. So I'm going to show you why, and I know a lot of people have probably tuned this out already, but I think this is pretty cool to check out. The browns, the kind of grayish, teal, greenish looking colors, and obviously the yellows, the reds, and the purples. So if you look right here, down here in the reds and the yellows and things, this is tropical moisture. And you can tell the stout cutoff right here. And then you get the browns with this dry air. That's basically the trough right there. That's a cold front. And I'm going to run through this, and that is the date, time frame 01 October 2020. And as I'm running through this, the GFS shows it right here. You see the plume of moisture coming out the Gulf? That's because a weakness kind of gets there. But I tell you, them troughs are still trying to fight it off. But at some point, 10 days out, there's going to be a little bit of a pattern change according to the GFS. And it allows some tropical moisture to really work its way in. And that's what it likes to do right in there. As the trough's moving through, you definitely get that chance right there, right before another trough digs. And maybe something can form right here in about 10 to 12 days. And then you kind of start to get more troughs and dry air. And it just gets kind of weird after that. It's just not super accurate. So last thing I want to show is basically just your pattern you have in place. And right now, this right here is basically, it's just high pressure. You know, it's basically just a trough digging, a cold front digging. And you got this thing trying to form down here at the GFS. But dry air and just high pressure in place keeps it down there. And it's still down there. And you're getting into almost 10 days out. And you have what's probably some kind of trough interaction out here. You got a little bit of high pressure right here. And you got this thing trying to fit somewhere in between. And check it out. As this high pressure is moving out, or this ridging, you get this trying to work its way, and that's when something can get sneaky right there. It's October 11th, and that's when something can get kind of sneaky right there and kind of form and hit us. And after that, you know, it just gets inaccurate. So, I guess my final call right here is I think that tropics-wise and weather-wise, I think that we're going to have a tropical threat, whether it's major or not. I don't know. I don't really think so, but it's going to be in about 10 to 11 days. I think we're going to have some kind of threat, or at least we're going to be talking about the tropics a lot more than what we are right now. So that's basically all I got for October. I think towards the end of October, usually when you get about halfway through October, it's a big time cutoff in tropical activity. It just really starts to dwindle and you don't see it as much. So honestly, I think once we get to the second half of October, I really think that you just get more calmer weather and you just get normal weather for late October, average temperatures, and you know, but one thing for October too also is it's the second severe weather season because you have the changing of the seasons. So that's another thing I did not really touch on much in this video is the potential for a major trough that could dig to our west, kind of like a couple days ago, and just dig right here and cause a line of storms that can develop, kind of like Halloween of last year. But that is something that's very hard to kind of predict far out. You don't really get that great of a signal on it until probably about 5 or 6 days out. So that's all I got, guys. I know it's a long video. I appreciate if y'all stuck through it. If y'all did, then hopefully y'all get a good gauge on what y'all can maybe predict for October. But that's all I got. Y'all have a good day or evening or whenever you watch this, and most importantly, y'all stay blessed.